What's up, y'all? It's your Intrepid Songwriter chronicling my adventures as a songwriter, because seriously, who does that? Today, I had to come on and do a live stream because we're going to talk about Morris Day Said What? Okay, and I'm going to show you what I've been talking about. If you're a student of mine or you're a client of mine, I'm going to show you with what's going on right now, what's happening right now, why the stuff I talk about is so important. So we're going to go on over to Morris Day's Instagram on the YouTube version of this video, because I'm on Twitter right now and I'm on my Facebook page. On YouTube for sure, but maybe Facebook. I'll put the link to Morris Day's Instagram if you're not following him. But here, I'm about to show it to you. Here it comes. Let's read this. I've given 40 years of my life building up a name and legacy that Prince and I came up with, a name that while he was alive, he had no problem with me using. I literally put my blood, sweat, and tears into bringing value to that name. In fact, he booked me on several tours and many jam-packed nights at Paisley Park under the name Morris Day and the Time, not once ever saying to me that I couldn't use that name configuration. However, now that Prince is no longer with us, suddenly the people who control his multi-million-dollar estate want to rewrite history by taking my name away from me, thus impacting how I feed my family. So as of now, per the Prince estate, I can no longer use Morris Day and the Time in any capacity. Wow, look at some of the comments. Melba Moore commented. That's my personal friend, Colleen. She commented. No, I'm sorry, not Grown Folks Meet. Star Sounds is Colleen. Star Sounds is Colleen. She commented. Taja Raleigh, Rasan Patterson, just, all the blue check marks. And nobody is down with this. So how does this relate? Even Jamie Foxx said he's a legend. And he is. Morris Day and Morris Day and the Time are definitely legends. So how did such a thing happen? And how is that relevant to all the stuff that I'm always telling you about? Okay? It's because this has to do with owning your name, owning your actual name, and owning your stage name. Super important. Okay? So I'm going to break all that down for you because it's not all the same thing. It's really convoluted. So I'm going to give you the basics. There's some stuff you're going to have to follow up on. And then I'm going to give you my recommendation for, do you need an attorney or not? So the first thing you should do right now while you're listening to me, but if you don't do it while you're listening to me, you should do it before the sun sets, is you should buy the domain of your name. First, buy your given name, your birth name, the name that's on your birth certificate, and buy .com, .org, and .net. Why do you want to do that? Because you want to own your own domain name, and you want to get it, especially if you're not famous yet, because what's going to happen is that somebody's going to come along and buy your name. Why do you think so many of these celebrities, they have like I am in front of the name of the real? Because they lost the rights to the name, because somebody got that name. And see, but you need to get it before you get famous. After you get famous, people are going to buy up your domain name and then try to charge you thousands of dollars to get it back. Okay, it's one of the most unethical things on the internet. It's been going on for years. So right now, you need to buy, you know what? Let me put that on the screen. Buy your given names domain. And you buy .org, .com, and .net. Okay, let me put that on the screen. Say, buy your given names domain, .org, .com, and .net. Now, there's a little typo in there, so let me fix that. So, what do I mean by your given name? I mean your birth name. So let me put that on. By your birth name, birth name's domain. So in other words, be sure that you own your birth name in terms of the domain name, so no one can buy it out from underneath you. There, I fixed that. So and put that back on the screen. Yeah, right. So whatever your birth name is, you should buy that and own that. That's the first thing you should be doing. But the second thing you should be doing is you should buy your stage name. Buy your stage name domain. So buy that version with .org, .com, and .net as well. So in other words, after you've bought your birth name, you also should buy your stage name. Whatever you go on stage as a performer, you should own that in terms of domains. Okay, like I own all versions of the Intrepid Songwriter, and my website is built there, and I own that. And you should make sure that whatever your stage name is, you own that too, because what's going to happen, what might happen, what's going to happen is that, especially once you become famous on any level, someone's going to buy up that domain name and then try to sell it back to you. Okay. And you won't even have rights to your own name on the web in terms of a domain. So that's the first thing you ought to do. But what Morris Day is dealing with here is a little bit deeper than that. I'm just giving you some advice on first thing you ought to do. But here's what Morris Day is dealing with. What Morris Day is dealing with, he's dealing with trademark issues. Now, first, let me explain to you that copyright is different from trademark. Okay, let me put that on the screen. Copyright is different from trademark. Okay, and you need to understand the basic differences between the two, but you cannot generally, notice I said generally, you cannot generally copyright a name. What if your name is like John Smith? How many John Smiths are there in the world? You think you can own that name? Now, you can buy the domain name. That's why I mentioned that. But you cannot actually own, copyright the name of John Smith. But you can register a trademark. And a trademark has to do with exactly what it says this is. It's a mark that you trade with. In other words, it's a mark that you use to do business with. A trademark can be a name in a certain font, configured in a certain way, like Superman. It can be a symbol, like the Superman shield. It can be a combination of the name and a symbol. Now, it's really kind of difficult when people use the word logo, because a logo is a function, but a logo can be any combination of the things I just mentioned. It can be a name, it can be a symbol, it can be a name and a symbol. Okay, it can be a piece of artwork that you use, a picture logo, or it can be all of the above. Like the name McDonald's in the font that it's in is trademarked. And then the golden arches is also trademarked. Okay. And so what you have to do is you have to trademark your stage name. If you don't trademark your stage name, then what happened to Morris Day is what's going to happen to you. You cannot go by a handshake. You cannot go by we grew up together. You cannot go by me and you are cool. You cannot go by that. You know why? Because it does not grant you legal ownership of the name. And this is the very kind of thing that can happen to you. You can perform under a stage name. Morris Day said he's been performing under Morris Day in the Time for 4 decades, 40 years. And he said that he and Prince came up with that name, but Morris apparently never trademarked that name. He never bought the rights to that name. So now that Prince is dead, Prince's estate is now withdrawing those rights, because I guess Prince retained rights to the name. And that is why you need to buy the rights to your stage name. You need to trademark it. You need to own it. And I'm going to show you in a minute what that means in terms of all the different applications. But the next logical question you would have then is where Where do we go to do that? I'm going to show you. Here it comes. Here is the big kahuna. The place that you go is the United States Patent and Trademark Office. This is where you go to start the process of registering a trademark that's a name or a symbol or a name and a symbol or a combination of all the above. So you really have to do the homework to understand it. That's why I recommend getting an attorney. Because the first thing you need to do when you're dealing with trademark stuff is you need to do a search. You need to search and see if that mark or that name as a mark is in use anywhere else. But the reason I recommend getting an attorney is because you have to register a trademark in every classification that you're going to be using it in. Like if you're going to be using it on clothing and apparel, pants, hoodies, t-shirts, caps, baseball caps. That's one thing. If you're going to be using it on something else, like as a tattoo, or maybe on folders or notebooks or on a piece of machinery or equipment. See, every single mark that you're using has to be trademarked individually, and each one of those individual marks has to be classified based on how you're going to use it. So if you're new to the trademark game, you might not know all that, and you might not know how to do a thorough enough search based on classification to be certain if that name is in use in any other mark. So that's why I give you this thing, and I'll put this link below. You need to start with the trademark basics. You need to understand what it is, understand when to use trademark, patent, or copyright, trademark examples, the scope of protection, what it does and does not protect, how to structure your trademark, why you should register, and the online tools you have. And that's just the basic stuff. Then it talks about, do you need an attorney? I always recommend yes. You should get one. It's more expensive, but you need one. How long does it take? Checking your status of your examination, all that different kind of stuff. Okay. And then preparing to file. You got to search for the similar stuff. Your application requirements. How much does it cost? Let's take a look at that, because I want you to see what kind of fees we're dealing with. So look at that. $250 per class of goods and services if you're using TEAS Plus, or if you're using standard, $350 per class of goods and services. And so what that means is that for each way you use the trademark in terms of how you use it or what you put it on, you have to pay for that. So if you have 2 trademarks and you're using the standard, that's already $700. Okay. And then and that's just to file. And then once you get the mark, then in every classification you use the mark, you have to pay another fee. Okay. So this gets really expensive really fast. And so you might not have that money starting out. So I'm going to tell you what to do. Here's what to do. The thing that you want to do is use the mark in your business activities. Put that on the screen. Now, see, trademark doesn't work like copyright. Trademark does not work like copyright at all. So in copyright, I highly recommend that you copyright register your stuff first and then release it. So all of your rights and protection is registered, because you cannot even bring a copyright infringement lawsuit until you're registered on copyright.gov. So if someone you think has stolen your song or stolen something that you have copywritten, you can't sue them unless you have a registration on copyright.gov. So with copyright, I highly recommend that you register your copyrights first, then release your content. Trademark kind of works the other way around. If you have to go to court to file a trademark infringement lawsuit or defend yourself against one of the strongest marks in your favor will be if you've been using the mark So you'll be able to show this is on all my materials, on my flyers, on my marketing materials, on my website, on all my digital EPKs, on my social media platforms. Use the trademark at as many places as you can, because what that does is that it helps establish ownership in the eyes of the court. Like I said, it's a little bit reversed from copyright. So once you get your logo symbol together, whatever it is, a name, a picture, the name and the picture, or any combination thereof, then you want to use that in everything. Like you see my Intrepid Songwriter trademark behind me. You see that screen behind me because that's my logo. You want to use that in as many places as you can, because if you have to go to court to sue someone or go to court to defend yourself from being sued, you can point to the fact that you've been using that trademark for a while and how many different ways and places you've been using it. That is huge. That is huge. That is huge. That is an event in your favor. If you can prove you've been using that mark and you put it all over everywhere and you establish it even before you register it, because again, to register it, whether you do it yourself or you use an attorney, is going to be a lot of money, and you might not have that money starting out. So use your trademark logo, symbol, whatever it is, in as many places as you can to show that it's yours. That's not a guarantee you're going to win the lawsuit, because there was a man that I think McDonald's sued a man named McDowell's, and McDonald's lost. I know that because I read those articles on a couple of videos ago. So McDowell's actually won because that was his name in McDonald's, even though there might have been some confusion. McDonald's didn't have a right to infringe upon his name. It's really something. So it's not a guarantee that you're going to win the lawsuit, but it certainly will be something stacked in your favor if you are using your trademark in as many business activities as you can. Okay? So again, I'm going to put the link to Morris Day's Instagram and that post, and the link to the Trademark Basics of the United States Patent and Trademark Office underneath this YouTube video, and I'm going to put it on my Facebook page. You need to get on that right now. Right now, you need to buy your domain name of your given birth name and your stage name, and you need to get your logo together, use it in as many places as you can. And as soon as you can possibly afford to, get that trademark registered at the trademark office, okay? So that it's uniquely yours, so that there's no brand confusion. So someone doesn't come up with something later that's confusing with your brand, because you can shut that down when you have your trademarks registered, okay? And a whole bunch of other reasons, especially if you got a lot of merch with that mark on it, you don't want to have to turn that money over to someone else because you infringed on the trademark that you didn't bother to look up, okay? All right, that's it for this video. Like I said, this is really an extensive subject and it's really convoluted. So I really want you to consult a music attorney, but I wanted to come on and show you something that's in the news right now that has to do with the stuff that I talk about with my clients and the stuff that I talk about with my students. That you better own the rights to your given name, and you better own the rights to your stage name in every which way you can, so this kind of thing doesn't happen to you. All right, that's it for this video. I said, Lord, I just had somebody come on. I'm about to sign off. Well, hello to whoever came on. I'm about to sign off. So go back to the top of this video and watch it from the beginning so you can understand what's going on with Morris Day and what's going on with his fight over using Morris Day and the time, because I don't want that to happen to you. It doesn't have to happen to you, but you got to be on the business side of your music events, and you need to own your birth name and own your stage name, okay, in as many different applications as you can. And copyright and trademark, I talked about it earlier in the video, are not the same. Okay, so I'm going to put the links below this video on YouTube, and I'm going to put the links on Facebook as well. Get on it today. Do not waste one more day and you're not on top of this, because as I was saying before, I don't want what happened to Morris to happen to you. All right, I'll see you next time in the next video. And remember my motto: never stop writing. Intrepid Songwriter, out.